Hello. This is like a week late coming out to you, but I finished. I somehow made it through Goofy, all 39.3 miles, which is actually more like 40 miles because of all the weaving and jumping off course. I, of course, came home with a cold, and I'm out trying to run today just to see how I feel. It's been 8 days since the marathon, and my legs are definitely tired. I'm trying to see if I can run a local race in, I think, like 6-7 weeks from now, which I originally said no, I'm not going to. I need to rest, but the fact I finished Goofy tells me I could probably do it because it's a 15K. If I did a half, I did a marathon, I can do a 15K. So I'm just trying to see how the legs feel. Whew, I'm doing intervals. I tried to run without intervals and I only made it a minute. So I'm doing 45-30. Anyway, the races, I did it. I am so shocked. Okay, I had to stop. With my cold, I could only choose running or talking. I couldn't do both because I couldn't breathe. So instead of you having to listen to me go, I'm just gonna stop running for a second. I'll take a little break and I'll tell you about the half right now. So I was pretty confident I would make it through the half marathon, just because I'd done Space Coast half, a month and a half before. So I was like, okay, I'll make it through the half. The real question was the marathon. So during the half, for some reason, I was still terrified of being caught by the balloon ladies, even though I had like a 45-minute head start on them and everything. So of course I go out and like I'm gonna do 60-30 and everything, and I was pulling down like 12-minute miles, which I shouldn't have been doing. I should have been going a lot slower because I'm not trained. But my goal was to make it to Magic Kingdom. I was like, when I get to Magic Kingdom, I'll slow down, because I was afraid to wait in the character lines. I would have been okay. I would have been fine. But I just mentally, I was like, I'm terrified. I need to stay ahead. So I make it to Magic Kingdom, which is like mile 5-ish of the race. And I knew that the character list had been leaked. So I knew that Rapunzel and Flynn Rider would be out by her bathroom in Magic Kingdom. So I was like, okay, I want Rapunzel and Flynn Rider because I tried them before and I just got Rapunzel, I didn't get Flynn. So I stopped in that line. I was like, I don't care how long that line is, I'm waiting in it. And I think I waited like 5 minutes. It wasn't terribly long, but it was good. It was a nice little break. I ate some food. I took a gel. I was right by Small World, so I got to see what that was like when there was no line. Took my picture and I was like, okay, I think I'm okay. I'm moving all right. I don't feel too tired. I did continue with my 60-30 until I got out of Magic Kingdom, because I did stop a couple more times for characters. I stopped for the castle. And then I got out of Magic Kingdom. I was like, all right, I'm going to drop down to 45-30. So I dropped down to 45-30. And I said, when I get to mile 10, I will drop down to 30-30. And so I did. So we come out and, heading back, I decided I could still stop for characters. So I was stopping for characters. I was feeling okay. Starting to feel a little tired, but not too bad. And I stuck to my word. When I got to mile 10, I did 30-30. And then I told myself, oh, I'm fine. I'm like 4 miles ahead of the balloon ladies. We're good. When I get to mile 12, I will just walk and walk in that last mile. And that's pretty much what I did. I did two miles at 30-30. And then at mile 12, like, we got back into Epcot and I started walking. I took a picture in front of Spaceship Earth and just kind of walked until we turned the corner into the finisher chute. And then I just kind of slowly ran down the finisher chute to the finish line. Worked out great. I was a little tired, a little sore, but I expected that. I came in at 3 hours and 10 minutes, which is not my slowest half at Disney. So I was amazed. I stopped for some characters, Castle, Spaceship Earth, it was fine. It was my normal half marathon feel. And so I was pretty excited. I'm going to run for a little bit and then I will tell you about the marathon. All right, I'm going to try to do this while running. I dropped down to 30-30 because I'm tired. I'm like a mile and a half in. I'll do 2, 3, I'm not sure. So Saturday I did do some recovery. I'm trying to think. I did a little walking around Magic Kingdom for active recovery. And then I was going to go to the Rise and Run meetup. I'd gone back to the hotel for a bit and I fell asleep for a couple hours, so I missed that. I guess I was tired. Because also in true T1D fashion, I turned off all my alerts except for urgent low. And Megan's urgent low went off at 1:55, 5 minutes before my alarm, of course, on Saturday. So, anyway, and I saw somebody I knew on the bus going over for the half, so that was fun. So it was always nice to have somebody to talk to. And I hadn't seen her in a long time. Anyway, so I did my recovery. Sunday morning, I seriously had I'm trying to think. I had decided that I just wanted to make it back to Magic Kingdom again. I wanted one more trip down Main Street because it's so much fun and I love it. That's why I do these races. So it's like my goal is to make it to Main Street, or Main Street Magic Kingdom, which is 9 miles. I forgot also, Saturday I didn't have too much pain. It was more just fatigue. Like I definitely had trained enough. My gosh, there's so many cars today. I'm gonna have to be really loud, and I can't breathe, so that's fun. So Sunday, like I said, my goal was to make it to Magic Kingdom. I think I decided I wasn't even gonna try 60-30. It's like I'll just start out at 45-30 and see where that gets me. So I started at 45-30, and by mile 2 I wanted to quit. I was so tired, just so tired. Like my legs were fatigued. It's like, how in the world am I gonna do this for another 24 miles? But I was like, no, you're not doing it for 24 miles. You're gonna get to Magic Kingdom, and then after that, whatever happens, happens. You'll just wait for the sweepers to get you. That was my mindset. Get to Magic Kingdom, wait for the sweepers to catch up to you, and your race is over. So onward I went. I think I pretty quickly dropped to 30-30. Can't remember when. And then after that, I very quickly dropped down to 15-30, which was torture, just torture. But I had remembered Jeff Galloway saying, you know, if you're undertrained, drop those intervals. So I went down to 15-30 because I noticed each mile I was just getting slower with the longer run intervals. So I was like, great, I'll just go down to 15-30. All right, so I had to breathe again. So I switched to 15-30, and I think I was doing like 14 to 15 minute miles. Sometimes I would get caught up in like a pace group, and I would just, instead of running 15 seconds, I would end up running like 8 seconds and just taking a longer walk break so I could get out of the pace group or out of a bunch up, because with 15 seconds running, you don't have a lot of time to kind of get out and go around people. But luckily, doing all that walking when I was injured meant my walk pace had picked up a bit, so that helped out a lot. And I just kept chugging along. I refused to stop. Again, I didn't want to stop at characters because, again, I was terrified. But I knew Jack Sparrow was out in mile 9 in Magic Kingdom across from Pirates. So I had to stop there because my husband proposed to me on Pirates. So it's a very special ride. So I had to stop for Jack Sparrow. And then I stopped for a castle picture. And I think I stopped for somebody else. inside Magic Kingdom. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. It's kind of all a fog right now. Okay, I forgot to say, when I finally, you have to wind up, like you go up Floridian Way, past Grand Floridian and Polynesian and over the new walkway. And then you come in the front turnstiles on the right side under the train tracks and onto Magic, like into Magic Kingdom, Main Street. When we hit those train tracks, just tears. I started crying because I couldn't believe I'd made it to Main Street. I was just so happy and relieved and just tears. And I saw the charity there, so I stopped to take a picture with them. They were just inside the train station. And then Main Street, I mostly walked just to soak it all in and just cried. And, you know, just, it was one of those moments, like, don't forget this feeling. Like, I had goosebumps, and it was just amazing to be back on Main Street. And I was just so happy and grateful I made it. So, made it through Magic Kingdom. And after Magic Kingdom, they shoot you out to the parking lot, and you do quite a few switchbacks through the parking lot. You like snake through it to make up some mileage from some other places they had to cut out. So it's really weird, like as you're going toward Magic Kingdom, you look down and you can see, you know, mile 13, and you're only at mile 4 or 5 or something, and you're like, really? Or 6, I don't remember. You're like, oh my gosh, these people are so far ahead of me. But you still have Magic Kingdom, and so you're happy. So in the parking lot, I ran into a couple of people I knew, and they slowed down for a minute, and I was like, no, you know, I'm done. Whenever the sweepers get me, they get me. All right, so, you know, I'd seen some people, and I was like, oh, you guys go have fun. I'm just going to slow down and let the sweepers catch me. My goal was just to make the Magic Kingdom. My race is over. At that point, I was just like a mile away from half. I was like, oh, okay, I'll make it to half. Then I started doing the math. I was like, okay, well, somebody just told me balloon ladies are 4 miles behind me, moving at this pace. So even if I move at this pace, it's going to take them like 3 miles or something to catch me. And by that point, I'll be, you know, almost to Animal Kingdom. And I'm like, well, I don't know. But I knew the Star Wars mile was coming up. I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, well, let's just keep going to the Star Wars mile. I just kept moving goalposts, right? I was just like, all right, well, now we'll just do this. Okay. I ran into, there was an athlete with disability. You know, people were complaining about the parking lot, and I was like, you know, you get to see what's coming up. You get to see all the people behind you. I mean, we gotta run somewhere. They can't keep us in the park the whole time. So, you know, we were chatting for a minute, and I told him, oh, you know, I've already made it farther than I thought. I'm just waiting for the sweepers. And it's like, no, you're gonna finish. You come with us. And I was going to, but they were running a full minute at a time, which at that time I could not do. I was like, oh no, man, I can't run a full minute, sorry, but thank you. And as they take off, I hear them go like, you'll finish. And I just kind of laughed, like, whatever, okay, thank you. So, you know, Doc McStuffins was out, and she had no line, so I had to stop in for her, because my kids loved her when they were young. So then I'm going down the Star Wars mile, which was mile 14 to about 15 and a half. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, you know. There's like lasers and smoke and all these different characters out, like Ewoks and Darth Vader and Stormtroopers and Rey and Kylo Ren. And I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but I went through during the daytime, and when you were still going through in the dark, it was pretty cool, I heard. But at that point, you know, I'm almost to Animal Kingdom once you get through that. And it's like, well, I'm almost to Animal Kingdom. Let's just keep going. You know, I had just crossed 16. I was like, oh my gosh, I have 10 miles to go. And I was in considerable amount of pain. Like, I was in a lot of pain. Mostly my lower back and my right outside, I think from protecting my hip, I was running weird and causing a lot of pain. And I had decided at mile, all right, I'm finished with my run, but I'm gonna continue my explanation. So yeah, I was in a considerable amount of pain, and I had decided at, gosh, what was it? Probably mile 11, right after we came out of Magic Kingdom. I was like, okay, I'm gonna alternate walk 1 mile, run, walk 1 mile, walk 1 mile as a strategy just to see how far I could stretch it. And I walked that mile in like 15 something. And then, so I walked, I ran walk mile 12, and then mile 13, I was walking a little bit, but I decided I didn't like the walking because it was hurting. It was actually hurting more than the running. So I would walk through a couple of my run intervals, and then I would run. And I figured out if I just ran like 3 of my run intervals during the mile, I could maintain a 16 mile or just over 16-minute mile, which is all I needed. I was like, oh, this is perfect. This keeps me moving and kind of pain-free, and I'll just keep moving forward. So I made it through the Star Wars mile, and we're coming up on, I was just past mile 16, and I slapped some BioFreeze on at a aid station somewhere around there. I honestly don't remember what mile marker it was, but really close to that. And I knew 10 miles left, but I also knew that when I walked my 3 hours, I got just over 10 miles. So I knew that if I continued to walk, I was gonna be walking for another 3 hours. And the idea of being out for another 3 hours just made me sad. It really did. I was sad, and like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be out here for another 3 miles. So I was texting my husband. I'm like, I am so done. I just want to quit. I'm in so much pain. This hurts so bad. I don't want to do, pain cave, bad place, dark place. I was there. I was deep down in the dark place. And he's like, listen, you're on the other side of halfway. He's like, you have 10 miles left. He's like, if you want to quit, that's on you. He's like, but you can do this. I'm like, ugh. But I was like, I'm so close to Animal Kingdom. It's like, I can do this still and get through Animal Kingdom, because I wanted to see what animals they have out, because they do have some out. So I was like, all right, let's just keep going. So I get through Animal Kingdom, right? Like, well, now I'm almost at mile 18. I can do 8 miles. I mean, 8 miles, that's like a moderate run during the week. I can do this. They had a med tent. I'm sorry, I got BioFreeze in a med tent and slapped it on my lower back. And I did stand at that med tent for a minute, contemplating life and if I should quit. And I was like, no, just keep going. So I kept going. But there was a med tent when you came out of Animal Kingdom, and I was like, I'm stopping for Tylenol, because I had taken Tylenol before the race and it had worn off. So it was like, had been long enough, I could take more. And I knew that if I took Tylenol at that point, I would be enough to get me through to the finish. So I grabbed some Tylenol, choked trying to take it, which was embarrassing. Got it. There was a banana right after, so I was able to put some food on top of it. It was also a very warm day. I didn't think it was too terrible until we got out to like miles 19, 20, when we were in full sun. Then it was a little warm. But luckily training here in Florida helped. So I was drinking at every aid station. I was drinking Powerade. I was taking my salt tabs. I was taking my gels with electrolytes. And I will still tell you, I took 6 hours and 43 minutes to run that marathon. Did not pee once. Peed before. Did not pee again until I got back to the hotel like an hour later. So I'm gonna guess I was dehydrated. But so that wasn't good. But I didn't feel dehydrated. I felt like I was still sweating, but maybe I just balanced it enough. I don't know. But anyway, so I took the Tylenol, ate the banana. We came up, it was mile 18. I'm like, okay, this is okay. We'll see how this goes. I knew I was getting into the really crappy section of the run where we're heading toward Blizzard Beach. And again, you're in a parking lot and it's full sun. And by this point it is getting warm. But I was getting text messages from my niece, who had been swept at 14, which she wanted to get to Magic Kingdom. So I was so happy for her. My sister-in-law, my husband, some friends. And My other friends who I'd seen earlier, they ended up behind me because they stopped for Expedition Everest, and while they were waiting in line, I ended up passing them, and they stayed behind me for a while. So I was like, oh, and so I was having fun, like waiting for them to pass me. I kept watching and watching, and I didn't see them. They did pass me at some point, but I didn't see them. But then the Tylenol kicked in. I was like, man, I feel fantastic. Like, it took away all the pain, and I was like, wee, this is so much fun. And then by then I was at mile 20. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only 6 miles. I can do this. This is awesome. So I just rode that Tylenol wave until about mile 24 when I did start to have some pain. But by that point, I was like, 24, I'm done. But Blizzard Beach, I did stop for Pluto, and that was a couple minutes wait. That was a nice little break. I just continued on with my 1530 until I got into Epcot, and then I just kind of, I still was doing 1530, but I wasn't too concerned. Like, I was just kind of running in. I ran into my friends on the boardwalk, so I ran up to them like, hey, funny running into you. So I jumped into their Spaceship Earth picture because they were already in line. I was like, can I get in line with you? And they're like, yeah, sure. So that saved me a little bit of time. And they only finished like a minute and a half in front of me or something. But yeah, there was this sweet angel of a lady on if anybody's familiar with Disney, the walkway from Hollywood Studios to Boardwalk. And she had just a bucket full of ice and just like handing out handfuls. She's like, put your hand out. The lady in front of me just opened up her bra, and like the lady dumped ice into the bra. I took some, threw some in my mouth, and then put the rest in my bra. So as I was eating it, I'm like, I have no idea how clean this ice is at this point, but oh well. But yeah, so I finished. I cried when I crossed the finish line, and I was just ecstatic. I was so tired, and it hurt to walk for about 24 hours, but by Tuesday I could walk. It was just kind of sitting down and standing up were the most painful parts. But I did it. I did not take a lot of video because I was just so focused on trying to get stuff, like, just moving forward. So there will be video after this. I'll put up the video I took from both days. There wasn't a lot, but I also want to say thank you for everyone who donated to my fundraiser. A big part of why I didn't quit was because I had raised money for the charity, and I didn't want to let down the people who donated money. I knew I wouldn't be letting them down, but in my mind I was like, I have to finish. This is a fundraiser. I have to keep going. And stubbornness and I don't know, years of muscle memory maybe. I have no idea. But I made it. I finished. I am a goofy for another year. So that was my Goofy 2026. Oh shoot.
Otherwise, you'll have to catch up. Ah, waka waka.
Walk 30 seconds. Walk 30 seconds.
Yo, that was the dumbest thing I ever did. I finished. My gosh, look how sunburned I am. I finished. And I'm so sore. Whew.